The last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here today is we saw a stat line over the weekend, and you know a stat line is crazy when even Wilt Chamberlain has not done it before. But
Mm,
Nikola Jokic had a game with over 30 points, 20 rebounds, and 20 assists.
mm.
An amazing performance in an overtime win against the Phoenix Suns. But you know, Scott, you said earlier in the show with complete certainty that Shea is the MVP. For me, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP. He's the
Mhm,
league's leading scorer on the
mhm,
best team in the Western Conference, who have a
mhm,
12 game lead over the second place team in the West. I don't see
mhm.
any team catching them. So unless the Thunder go on a slide or the Nuggets go
Right.
on a mad run, you have to give Shea the MVP because he's done it for the majority of this season without their second best player in Chet Holmgren
Mhm.
even being available.
Absolutely.
Jokic is great. I'm not taking anything away from what he's done, but I
Mhm.
feel like I've said previously on the show, the MVP has to come from a top one or two seed in each conference. That's
Mhm.
just, I
Mhm.
think we have to reward winning at some point. And the
I
OKC
don't
Thunder
disagree
have
with
gone
you.
out and they've not stopped
Mhm.
winning so far this
Mhm.
season. Do you guys share that opinion? Do you have a different view on the MVP
You
race?
remember, if you remember, we've talked about the MVP going back to last year, and there's part of that award too is a narrative award. And if you can recall last year, I was telling you because Shea had a terrific year last season, and they were the number one season in. But he really was just getting onto the national scene. And the point I was making last year was he was setting the case, establishing himself for next season to be next season's MVP,
Hmm.
which is this current season we're talking about. And it really has played out that way. He came into this season now more of a favorite, more of a known commodity. And then to your point, Mo, he's done this, kept them clearly the number one seed in the Western Conference without arguably their second best player in Chet Holmgren for the majority of the season. Now, and because I don't want to take anything away from the young man Jalen Williams, who's been fantastic and who was an All Star this year, but Shea Gilgis, time and time again, in big moments, has shown up, showed out, and proven why he is the top guard in the league right now. And I believe it's his award to lose. Again, if somehow Nikola Jokic ended up with it, who can argue with him in terms
Yep.
of what he does on the basketball court? But I just, again, as if you studied the history of this award, a lot of it is narrative shaped over time, and I just think it's Shea Gilgeous's time to be that, and at the once he wins, if and once he wins the award, then we'll be looking to the following season and kind of see, will he be able to maintain it, go back to back, or is there somebody else's narrative that's coming up behind him that will put themselves in position to be the winner in the following year in the 2025-26 season?
BJ, who's your pick for the MVP?
Well, as I said yesterday, the day before, in the regular season right now, SGA is the regular season MVP. But that doesn't it's not going to stop me from acknowledging, okay? I'm going to call this I'm going to call this Armstrong's triple A. Okay, where we're going to acknowledge, we're going to appreciate, and we're going to allow Jokic to be exactly who he is. Okay, we're going to acknowledge the greatness when we see it. MVP and all of those things, we will all say that hey, when they ask us about Jokic when his career is over with, we're all going to be able to say one day, hey, we saw a guy do 30, 20, and 20. Okay. We're going to appreciate what that means, especially at the center position.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to appreciate that. And then here's where I want to give Coach Malone credit. He's allowing Jokic to be exactly who he is. The most difficult thing to do is to coach a great player. Why? Because he's great. The hardest thing to do in this league is to coach a player like myself. I was mediocre. I was a mediocre player by NBA standards. So coaches had to figure out how to integrate my style of play into a system and figure out how to help what I could do to help a team. But when you have a great player That's when you find out whether someone actually understands their game, because a great player will actually force you to understand the game. Everyone can't coach what we saw with Jokić. So I want to give Coach Malone that a credit for allowing him to be the best version of himself. I mean, he plays point guard during the course of the game. He goes to the box during the course of the game. He facilitates during the course of the game. But more importantly, he now has peeked into what I call the matrix. Jokić has the knowledge better than anyone else right now of how to win with his team, with that level of talent. Now, Shai has had a better individual season statistically in what he's been able to do, but he hasn't done what Jokić has done, which is to win the championship yet. And that's not to say he won't win it this year, but Jokić is clearly playing now at an entirely different level than everyone else, because he's taken his talent, he's integrated his talent, and he knows how to win regardless who's on the floor. So he's playing on a whole different level right now. You can see how he's playing. He's won. Him and Malone right now are just one. They're just one. And now you're seeing that the team recognizes that, and you can just tell the way he's playing. Like, he just kind of, he figures it out. I think Mo and I talked about getting double teamed, triple teamed. And I told you, when you're a great player, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It only matters if you, if you don't have the talent, you're worried about being double teamed. But when you're a great player, you can make adjustments during the course of the game. So he knows how to alter the game. He knows where the other 9 players are at on the floor. That's how good he is right now. He knows what the coaches are doing. He knows how to bark at the referees when he needs to. He knows when to score. Here's the thing that I love most about him is he probably could score 40 points a night if he really wanted to. And he's chosen not to.
Yeah.
That's what I respect. It's not what he's doing. It's the fact that he has the discipline not to do it. So when you see a player that is affecting winning like this, and he's made a conscientious choice to play a certain style to include everybody, that to me is the brilliance of Jokić. So I'm going to appreciate it. I'm calling this the AAA. I'm going to acknowledge him. I'm going to appreciate, and then I'm going to allow me to watch him and allow him to go out there and do his thing. So just like Coach Malone, I'm going to learn from that and say, hey, I'm just going to watch it. And whoever wins it by their standards. But I can say that I saw 2 players in particular have an MVP level season. That's for sure.